Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks and TYT Politics. Hope you're doing well. I am in my polished, very well lit studio here at Little Creek Camp in Iowa. I've been here for 5 or 6 days. If you're unfamiliar, Little Creek Camp is a no DAPL water protectors camp here in Williamsburg, Iowa. Obviously, the Dakota Access Pipeline goes North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and then to Illinois. So here in Iowa, it did not have as much of the attention as obviously Standing Rock did, but there are still efforts to shut down the pipeline here in Iowa. There are legal cases going on in the background, eminent domain, which Christine will tell you a little bit more about. I'm writing a story right now about my time here at Little Creek Camp, which has been kind of part covering it and journalist and kind of part taking a step back and just getting some personal healing of my own. So it's been really, really great. But I wanted to talk to Christine Nobis, who is the founder here of the camp. And we spoke at Standing Rock. You're an Indigenous woman, an Iowan, and you know, what's really interesting about this camp is obviously it's very different, about 25 to 30 people at its max. There's not like direct actions going on every day. It's kind of half taking on the pipeline, but half like a think tank for the broader fight against fossil fuels. Just tell me about kind of what prompted you to start this. I believe it was February 26th you started this.
Yeah, the process of starting this actually, began in September, and I think it was my second trip out to Standing Rock, and it just dawned on me that we needed to make a better connection between what was going on in Iowa and in Standing Rock. So JD Goodhouse and I just started working on that, networking, and figuring out how we could do it. I was working on my end in Iowa, trying to find land, trying to figure out the logistics of all of this, while he was working at Standing Rock, just networking with people and seeing who would come and how we could make it happen. And it did. It eventually happened. February 26th is when we lit the sacred fire. His family came down to do that, and it's been burning ever since. So the reasons behind this stem largely from the fact that, like as Jordan said, this pipeline goes, through Iowa. Actually, Iowa hosts 30% of this pipeline. It goes from the very northwest tip to the southeast tip, under the Mississippi and into Illinois to a refinery. The fight started in Iowa against DAPL. In Iowa, they called it the Bakken pipeline for a long time. And there's about 40 to maybe even 50 organizations under an umbrella organization, the Bakken Pipeline Resistance Coalition, that have been working together for, like I said, almost 3 years now to oppose it. We've never been successful with the amount of media and financial resources that did develop at Standing Rock, and so we were never quite a powerhouse, I guess, in opposition to the pipeline here. However, there's been a lot of successful outcomes that have occurred from it. I mean, firstly, there's a court case going on right now at the IUB, the Iowa Utilities Board, not at the IUB, but at the through the justice system. But the Iowa Utilities Board is being sued by 10 landowners and the Sierra Club over their abuse of eminent domain, allowing DAPL to go through this land without proper recognition of what eminent domain actually is for, and it's for the greater good, and it's not being used for the greater good for this state. It's being used for the profits of this corporate conglomerate, government-backed corporate conglomerate, because this pipeline was heavily pushed through by Branstad, and who we know, the governor, who we know has received funding of sorts from these companies, and who's friends with these people, and so what this pipeline does not do is provide any economic benefit to the state, because I think it only leaves about 12 jobs behind in the end. 12 is just a random number. I'm just it's more than 10 and less than 20, and also the oil flows right through the state. So I mean, It's not actually providing us with any income in the end.
And there's tons of water sources that the pipeline goes through here.
Yeah, I think I've heard it goes under 65 sources of water. And I don't know I can't remember if that's completely in Iowa or if that's like from, up north to here. And it goes under the Mississippi, like it kind of blows my mind that people didn't make a bigger deal about that, because it's the Mississippi. I mean, it's the one river in this, in this country that is like so symbolic with, so much for so many people. And so, but what this pipeline does is it goes to a refinery in Illinois and then down probably to Texas. And then since Obama lifted the offshore oil ban, that oil will be shipped somewhere else. So the oil itself is not even staying within the country for our use. And that purpose of the oil initially was like to be used within our country so we can be, less dependent on, other people's oil. So if we're shipping our oil out, then what does that mean?
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, because I went down to Texas to cover the Trans-Pecos pipeline. And, the oil companies and the corporate media like to make it seem like this is all a bunch of hippy-dippy, out-of-work, environmental activists who got nothing better to do. But in Iowa, in Texas, these are more traditional conservative landowners who are having oil pipelines dug up in their backyard and on their land, and they're not happy either.
No.
So, for different reasons, progressives might be more the environmental risks, our planet burning to the ground, but it's kind of, there are landowners who support,
Republicans.
right? And,
Yeah.
and this land, by
Yes.
the way, is a private land that you got permission.
Yes, we're on private land. The owner, Max Hilton, he's finally allowed me to release his name, is amazing. I mean, I can't even believe he's letting us do this. And he's just totally on board. He just wants things to change. He's not happy with the system. I mean, he himself calls himself a libertarian. I mean, how often do I hang with libertarians, And I mean, but it's true, because a lot of us don't even identify with a political party anymore. I don't consider myself a Democrat or a Republican, I don't even know what I am. I just know I'm Indigenous, and these parties have never actually done anything for my people. So, I mean, I'm on board with Max sometimes, I really am. And that's what that's actually what this camp is about as well. It's not about, like I keep saying, shaking your fist at a pipeline, because we got to stop doing that at some point, and then actually like provide an alternative. So like here, what we're doing is we're creating a sustainable community. We're trying to show people that you can live, differently. That you can implement solar, energy and have it work and actually have it be, helpful, not just like a burden, and we're also implementing an Indigenous mindset, because, and this is my opinion, but I mean, I think Christianity, Islam, and Judaism have been really harmful to our earth. I believe these codified religions where God gives man dominion over the earth are detrimental to our future, because people, and then out of this you get capitalism, and then you get consumerism, and like people just buying stuff for the sake of buying it to fill some hole in their life, or because they feel that they have dominion to do whatever it is they want. And it's that mindset that I want to change, and I feel that it's the Indigenous mindset that is all over the world, and even back in Europe. You go way back in Europe and to European ancestors, and they have Earth Mother figures buried in the ground there. They were indigenous there, and that's what they left behind. And so I'm trying to I wouldn't say resurrect, because we've never been gone, but I'm trying to solidify and unify our voice, and make it louder and make people see, and hear and understand that, we got to change the way we think. If you look at the earth as your mother, if you look at the earth as a relative, you don't want to harm her so much. Sure, we still have to take resources from her, but we just have to change the way we do it. And that's what this is about. And that goes into this whole economy government thing that we have to change. This government has to change, particularly now, as we know, because with Trump being installed into office, we've basically just made it public. We've just made it more public of how this country runs and what it's really about. You know, Trump to me is nothing. He's just like a symbol of like everything that's wrong. And in a way it's a good thing, because now we can, you know, combat it head on. He's a terrorist, you know, and so like we need to take care of that. We need to make sure that everybody understands that he's not good for this country. We need to make sure that everybody stands up for what is right. And then through that, we have to change the economy, you know, because the economy is essentially what runs everything,
Right.
you know?
And I think one thing that stands out to me about this camp is, you know, I think there is an urgency to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. I'm always honest with my audience. Obviously, it's a much smaller chance than it was months ago. I think there still is a chance if the legal system and judges actually follow the law, which is always an if. But what's interesting here is, and I think if people are looking for some more meaning in their life, obviously if you were going to come to a camp like this, we'll give you the address and everything. You have to be somewhat sustainable. They have tents and teepees, but you have to bring kind of your own stuff. And
bring your own tent.
Yeah, bring your own tent. But, you know, it's a community, but you also kind of have to play your part. But there's real dialogue and community and conversation that goes on here about a whole lot of things. I mean, I've been in conversations about police brutality. I've been in conversations about the corrupt effect of money in politics and all these things. It's not only... We're not only here speaking about the pipeline. I've been in conversations about my dating life. I mean, it runs the gamut. And I think that's what's interesting, because there's real connections being made here. On the outside world, I can't walk, 20 yards without somebody looking down at their cell phone. Me included. I'm guilty of it. Whereas here, it's really not a think tank like one of these think tanks in Washington, D.C. that are really just bought off extensions of political parties, but like a think tank on how do we build communities and a future that's not built off that consumer world that Christine has talked about, that's not built off corruption and injustice, but human connection and healing the earth and living off the earth. And it's powerful. I never really got to see that at Standing Rock because I was so busy covering the chaos, really.
It's a healing camp, too.
It's a healing camp.
We have a sweat, we have ceremony, we had a pipe ceremony yesterday, we have a healing circle that goes on. We have people doing massages, because there needs to be a lot of healing that goes on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So I want to ask, the weather's getting nicer. I'm not saying like 500 people storm the gates right now, but for people that are coming, what kind of people do you want to see here? Obviously, you're open to many comers, but
yeah.
What do you want to see them doing if they decide to come here? This is in Williamsburg, Iowa, by the way. If you know the address off the top of your head.
1904 County Highway F52, Williamsburg, Iowa 52361.
Yeah, and I'll post the whole address on YouTube once we cross this over.
But so in terms of people, okay. Yeah.
And by the way, I'm going to drop the veil for a second. It's not all rainbows and sunshines creating or running a camp. I've talked to Christine the last few days, and it's a lot of work, and it's. I'll leave it at that.
It's running a camp is not fun. It's a lot of work. It is a massive undertaking. It's all consuming. And really what I would like to see here, and what other people in this community would like to see here, are dedicated people. Please don't come here for a vacation. Please don't come here to chill. I mean, if you're coming here, you're getting a job. Like you will be asked like what your skill set is and like where you feel comfortable working, and you need to be dedicated to that every day. This is more than like a cause. To me, this is a lifestyle that I will never give up. I will never change what I'm doing. This is what I will be doing for the rest of my life. And I'm not saying anybody who comes here has to be doing that as well, but what I'm asking is that people come here with dedication in their heart. And a willingness to be open to communication and to learning, because we bring people in to do like sessions. We just had a political scientist come in and teach us about lobbying and like political interest groups. Be willing to do that, and be willing to think outside the box. Like, don't come here and think that you're going to go on an action right away, because frankly, we're not even there yet. We're still figuring that out. Like, I don't even know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. Like, I just know that, like, we have to fight the IUB. We have to fight the legislature here. So we're considering a political campaign where we actually canvass, you know, the areas. We're engaging in the climate march here that starts this weekend from this camp and goes to Des Moines. It's an 8-day walk. And, you know, on the way, we hope to be, like, passing out literature, knocking on doors, like, just like anybody would do in a political campaign, you know? We have to start thinking of it as, like, raising awareness less than just, like, you know, locking onto something, because that doesn't always raise the kind of awareness that needs to be raised. You know, we need to educate people more. And I think that that's what we're trying to do, you know. We did go to the IUB, though. You know, we went in and played drums and sang, and the police were really nice. And, you know, this time, right now as I speak, we have a lot of people from our camp at the IUB at their monthly meeting. And so
Iowa Utility Board, by the way.
Iowa Utilities Board, and, you know, where you get your 2 minutes to speak. So, I mean, what I want to see ideally is, like, the state of Iowa in an uproar about this court case, because that, to me, is potentially a way to influence the judge. I mean, because I don't care what anybody says, but they are influenced by what goes on in the public. You know, if there's, like, enough of an uproar, like, something is going to have to happen. I don't know how to do it. Somehow we have to make Iowans aware of what's going on, you know?
And I think, you know, I'm a journalist. I'm not going to tell people what to do. But listen, if you live in Iowa, if you live 5, 6, 7 hour drive, you know, instead of going to the casino, come check out this camp, even if you can't stay that long. Again, don't come to, like, chill and find yourself. That might happen too.
Yes, that's part of it.
Right,
you know,
right.
Like the work and the healing, they work together.
Right,
you know?
right. But, you know, I think that some people cannot do that, and some people have to be, you know, keyboard warriors, and there's a place for that. But if you can, I think, you know, we got to put our money where our mouth is. We can't just say, you know, no DAPL and how awful corporations are. I mean, I love my job, but I sacrifice quite a bit to do this. And, you know, I think if you're nearby and you want to see that Standing Rock wasn't just a thing and now it's over. It kind of has flowed into different camps. There's Little Creek Camp here. There's camps popping up in Michigan. I'm headed to Flint after this. There's camps in Florida. There's camps in Pennsylvania. They might be popping some open in the West Coast. So this is something the corporate media would rather stare at a wall and talk to the wall rather than report on, frankly, environmental and anti-government camps popping up around the country, because that does not go along with their interests, folks.
No.
But I am going to report on it. So the bottom line is, you know, through people like Christine's passion, and, you know, she's a mother of 2, frankly. She's not seeing her kids that much at the moment because she is immersed in this. And when I asked her, well, what about that? She's more interested in keeping them alive and the planet alive. So she's putting her money where her mouth is, and I think whatever you could do, whether it's coming here, whether it's donating, I'll put that information on the page too, on YouTube, how you could donate. You know, be a part of it, because it's a lot more than just, these camps to me are not just fighting specifically the pipelines. I mean, that's at the forefront because that's the most real-time urgent thing. But they're really, what Bernie said, like, enough is enough. They're fighting a corrupt system where our government, our government has been hijacked by corporate America and big oil and environment and
Government-backed conglomerates basically run the world.
right.
You know, that's what's going on.
Right.
And I just want to say this one last thing. Like, if you were at Standing Rock and, you know, or not, you know, watching what happened, I know that you have a passion to continue to fight DAPL, and if you want to do that, then come to Iowa. Also, stop the camp tour, you know, like, stop touring camps, like, dedicate yourself to one place, because the touring is good for some people that are doing these tours. They're doing it out of a need to do it because they're checking in with people and providing them. Like, I've been provided with a lot of resources by certain people. But if you're touring for the sake of touring, like, just come, just dedicate to one camp. And this one here is actually still fighting DAPL, you know? So I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how we're going to make that happen, but maybe we could use you to help us figure out how.
More minds are better than few.
Oh, absolutely. And also for what we're trying to do with building this sustainable community, it's a lot of work. So like trying to implement that also with fighting the system, like we really could use more people. So.
And by the way, there's goats and there's roosters and beautiful land, 14 acres. They just created a beautiful sacred fire a little deeper into the woods yesterday. Bring your bug spray.
Ticks.
There are ticks, I won't lie, so make sure you, wear long sleeves if you can and check for that. But yeah, check it out. I would really suggest it because I've been it's a lot different when you're actually experiencing something rather than covering it, and it's really moved me. And it also has taught me a little more about why these folks are fighting as hard as they are. I knew it on the surface, but until you're there and you speak with people and you see them in their daily interactions and lives here, it's a whole different thing. So I will post the information on our YouTube page once we turn this video over to YouTube. And yeah, head on over. Little Creek Camp, it's about 40 minutes out of Iowa City here in Williamsburg, Iowa. Thanks, Christine.
You're welcome.